Technology. I'm gonna hear. Yeah, I can't do that. Now you can hear me, can't you? Can you hear me, Betty? Yes, awesome. All right. Hello, all you love lights.
Hello.
So as I've been sitting here preparing for this talk, I've been putting a light of infinite love between each of your hearts and my heart, so that I can bring you the exact perfect talk that each person here would benefit from. Because this is Bonnie Unchained. I feel like a kid riding a bicycle going, look, Mom, no hands! Right? Because I usually have notes when I talk, and I've been getting smaller and smaller and smaller notes, but this is my first time ever speaking without notes, just out of my intuitive faculty. I know, thank you whoever took a deep breath. So, intuition is kind of like that riding a bike without your hands. You can't do it, you can't describe how to do it. Like you can't teach somebody how to do it with an instruction manual or a video or anything like that. You actually have to get on a bike and find your balance. You have to feel it out. Has everybody here ridden a bike? Do we all know this experience? Okay, so when we are in our intuitive guidance, we are feeling into what is going on. And it's really difficult for us to do that sometimes when we have static going on in our energy system and our thoughts. So the first part of intuitive living is being present. And we are in like a multitasking kind of world, aren't we? Like everybody has a to-do list and it's all busy and it's all, how can you pay attention to that small, still voice of spirit when you're working on your to-do list, or when you're listening to TV while scrolling on your phone while cooking dinner, you know? And a lot of moms can probably relate to that, right? Yeah, so the intuitive faculty is very subtle. It's very quiet. And so if we don't take time to turn off the electronics and step away from the chatter going on externally, it's rather difficult to access that intuitive guidance. And when we access that intuitive guidance, then sometimes it doesn't tell us what we want to hear. Has anybody ever gotten it? Oh yeah, Annette this morning, great example, thank you for the setup. Annette this morning gave an example of she didn't want to sign up to be a LUT teacher or to be a musician, but her hand went up. And we've all had those experiences where we didn't really feel like it was what we wanted to do, but there was an intuitive nudge towards something that's going to give us expansiveness and a greater sense of who we are. So when we turn off the external stimuli, then we get present. My friend Andrea says, you have to pay attention and be present even when it sucks. Right? We have to pay attention and be present even if it feels like it sucks. And when we get the feeling that this is terrible, then that gives us lots of brain chatter, right? And that brain chatter works much like the television or the scrolling. It blocks us from hearing that very small, subtle, still voice of spirit. So the Buddhists call this holding life with an open hand, right? We have to have a neutral perception to be able to hear the guidance. We have to be able to get still within ourselves and within our mind to be able to hear that voice that's so small. It does come from within. And it's not really a voice, it's like a wink. You ever had God wink at you? I know Catherine has. Right. So, when we get that wink, we have to be paying attention. I did a silent retreat yesterday with Catherine. It was wonderful. And I had this beautiful experience where I went out around noon to my car, and I looked down the mowed part of the front pasture, and there was a deer standing there, staring at me. And we locked eyes for like 20 seconds. It was a long time to sit there and share energy with this deer. And then my brain took off with that. It was like, oh, I saw another dead deer. That must, there's all this stuff. I did a lot of processing about death at my retreat yesterday, and that was good for me. But this morning, I looked up the animal spirit meaning for deer, and one of them is intuition. And when you think about it, deer are really paying attention, aren't they? They are probably feeling the vibrations through their hooves, and their ears are like all perked up. They're listening. So right now, I want you to listen. Just listen for a second. What do you hear? Even if you didn't hear anything, that's what happens that's how we access that intuition. We get still and we listen. And it just comes through. And sometimes it doesn't come through how we want it to come through, right? Sometimes we get a message that we don't want, and then we get not neutral, and then we think, oh no, that's not my intuition, this is my intuition. Wrong. So I'm going to tell a story about a trip that I took last week. And I used a lot of intuition. I decided, many of us here have taken a class called Mastering Abundance recently. And in this class, we learned how to walk in the 5D realm, just in how we perceive things. So I decided, I was a little bit nervous. I'm a 6-foot-tall woman, and you put me on an airplane, and I feel a little cramped, It's hard for me with my body to go on a plane. So I felt a little bit of anxiety about the trip and the traveling. And I thought, no, I'm going to 5D this baby. So I got to the airport 2 hours early at the Tulsa airport, which is an international airport, a little bit larger than our local airport. And I got in there, and I felt like a mouse in a maze because I was going back and forth to get to the luggage check, because there was nobody in line in front of me. And then I went around the corner to the security check, and again went back and forth like a mouse in a maze, because there was 3 people in front of me in the security check. And then I walked to my gate, and I was there an hour and a half early. But I noticed I had passed a person doing chair massage, so I got my little baggage, went back, and got me a 30-minute massage before I got on the plane that had an empty seat next to me. And when I got to Washington State, where I was visiting my grandkids, they're adorable, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering. But when I got there, my gate that I was arriving at was very far from where the baggage claim was. But due to construction at the airport, they were going to have to put us all on a bus and bus us up to the one really close to the baggage claim. Talk about a 5D travel experience. It was really cool. I got to watch, what did I watch on the way there? Oh, Shazam! It was a Shazam kind of experience. It really was. And so on my way back, I thought, I'm going to 5D it. Oh, I'm going to do it again. It's going to be a 5D travel experience. And so it had been my granddaughter's 3rd birthday, and I had no time to check in the day before. You do the online check-in. I had no time for that. There was too much fun and play to be had. I had to make a flower crown and go to a trampoline park. It was important, right? Yeah, you got to do these things. So on the way to the airport, I had to be there 6:30, so we had to leave my son's house by 4:30 a.m. So I'm in the car with my son, and I'm feeling a little sad because I had gotten some individual time with everybody else, but I hadn't really had much individual time with my son. So on the way there, I look at my phone, and it says, that my flight was arriving an hour earlier than it was supposed to be arriving. And I was like, what happened? What did I do? And through calling the airlines, I found out that they had changed me to a different flight without telling me, and I was going to be 3 hours later. I'm on a whole different plane 3 hours later than what was anticipated. So I got 3 bonus hours with my son. I did not get upset about this. We went to Pike's Market, and we went to the Space Needle. It was really fun. We had a good morning together. And so then I was like, oh yeah, I'm 5D in it, right? So I got to the airport, he dropped me off. I went in, same thing. I'm a mouse in a maze, going back and forth, and checked my luggage in so easily. And I thought, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. And then I went around the corner to the security check, and there were like 400 people standing in line. I kid you not, it was crazy. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm having a 5D travel experience, I'm going to need to continue the 5D travel experience. I can't let this change my mental attitude, or I'm going to have a miserable trip. So here I am, I'm trying to beam love to every person that passes me in the lines as I'm going back and forth. So I'm smiling, just beaming love, and everybody passes me like, you know, none of them looked at me except for this one sweet little old lady, and she smiled and looked away real quick. So on my next pass, I thought, well, my love is not getting through to these people. What do I do? And my intuition guided me to go within. So that whole next pass through the maze, the mouse maze, was very slow, and I was breathing light in through the top of my head, and I was filling up my heart with light, and I was making my energy as big as it could get. And then, all of a sudden, people started looking at me and smiling back. And I saw a mom with 2 little kids in a double stroller. She looked spent, people. She was just done pushing these. The stroller could barely fit between the little things. And I just looked at her and I said, you're going to make it. I believe in you. And she called back over her shoulder, thank you, I needed that. And the plane was full and it was okay. You know, I survived. And I watched Ant-Man Quantumania, which kind of was like this trip, right? Like I had Shazam on the way there and Quantumania on the way back. I almost didn't make my flight in Dallas. And if you guys have ever gone through DFW, like I had to take the tram like to the other building, and it was pretty crazy. But I was still trying to follow my intuition. So here I am, rushing, and I'd been wanting a Starbucks coffee. I had really been wanting a Starbucks coffee. And so I looked over, and every Starbucks in every airport I had been in had like a mile-long line. But not this Starbucks, there was nobody in line. I took it as a sign from God that I was supposed to have a Starbucks. So I stopped and I told them I was running late. Could they please put me a coffee? So here I am with my coffee. I get to the gate. There is nobody there. Nobody at the desk. The door is locked. And I'm like, oh, what happened? Uh-oh. But I was like, okay, no. You know, even if Spirit says, I need to miss this flight and take a later flight, this is the 5D experience that I'm having, and it's going to be for a perfect reason in the divine order of things, right? So I'm sitting here like banging on the window and waving, and somebody way down the hall saw me, and I'm like, oh wow, they're gonna, you know, sometimes I worry about what people think, and I thought, oh, they're gonna think I was just goofing off if I had this coffee, so I down my coffee, look like I threw it in the trash before they got down there. But I made my flight, and I got home, like before it was too late, like before bedtime at least, so I had a different travel day, but if I'm following my intuition and things seem like they're going awry and I get caught up in that, then Spirit can't guide me to get a Starbucks, right? And we all need a Starbucks when we're traveling, I'm just saying, we just do. I mean, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people, because the lines were long. This morning I was reading an article in Psychology Today about intuition. Did you see that article? It was a good one. They said that they did a study of 300-something surgeons, and that 95% of them believed that people had premonitions of their death. And that 50% of them said that if somebody says they're going to die, that they believe that increases their mortality rate. Isn't that interesting? And they also talked about a cat in a nursing home in England. Have you heard this story, Chrissy? Yeah. They talked about a cat in a nursing home in England, and there were like 50 people who died in that nursing home, and the cat, every single time, would go lay down by that person before they passed away. I thought, wow, that's pretty intense. That's pretty cool. So, when I listen to my intuitive faculties, I'm usually doing a Reiki session. And when I am doing healing work, I'm a Reiki master for those of you who don't know me. When I am doing healing work, there is so much guidance in that. And it's not only always, a lot of times it's good, like I had guidance one time to tell a guy, you are the keeper of the flame. And I was sitting there arguing with spirit about it. I was like, I'm not gonna, this sounds weird, I'm not going to say that. That was early on in my Reiki journey, right? I'm not going to say that, that's weird. But spirit was very persistent with me. And so at the end I said, you are the keeper of the flame. And he goes, what? And I said, you are the keeper of the flame. And he said, do you know how many people have told me that? One time I was doing Reiki at ORI with all the wonderful healers there, like Dodie, and there was a person on my table, and I was talking to her after we finished her session, and Spirit told me, flick her, flick her. I was like, I'm not gonna flick my Reiki. That just must be a thought, can't be an intuition, right? But Spirit was very persistent. So I very gently flicked her on her shoulder, and she busted up laughing and said that was the thing between her and her sister their whole life. And it really helped her to release and heal something. So sometimes when we get guidance, it's not what we think it is. But it's so important for us to do our very best. I mean, our inner human is going to freak out when something is that we don't know, right? I'm sure everybody has the experience in your life of your inner human freaking out about something. And when our inner human freaks out, all we have to do is take a deep breath, ground ourselves into the earth, feel that light of spirit coming in the top of our heads, and just take a few deep breaths and be present to that inner guidance of spirit. So we're going to play around with this with a meditation now, I think. I think that's what Spirit is calling. I don't know, I'm winging it, right? But meditation seems like it's next. So if you guys would all just take whatever you have sitting in your laps out of your laps and get yourself comfortable. Feel the chair supporting you. Feel your breath coming in and going out of your body. Our breath is with us from our very first inhalation when we come into this world until we give our last exhale as we leave this planet. And we often underestimate the power of the breath. So just be present with this gift that we all have, this inspiration that we have. And there may be a question on your heart. There might be something that you've been toiling with. And I want you to just tell yourself or soak in the knowing that whatever happens, it's going to be okay. That you are divinely guided to be able to face whatever challenge or whatever Spirit guides you towards. You are beyond your wildest belief. And we're going to sit in the stillness for just a minute, just to get a taste of listening to that small, still voice as we try our very best to help our inner humans be neutral about the things that get our attention. So just breathe deeply and listen and see if God winks at you or gives you a gentle nudging. Notice if your mind wanders or starts worrying about it. And just bring yourself back to the thought that I'm divinely protected, divinely guided. All is well. Now that you've listened to guidance for one full minute, you might have gotten an answer, and you might not have. The not answer might be your answer. Because sometimes God wants to sit in what my Buddhist teacher called don't know mind. And it's hard for the human to not know. It's hard to not have the answer. Unless we know that everything is happening for us, and with us, and through us, and from us. So I'm going to ask you to say a thank you for this guidance or this not guidance internally. And then to take one more deep, slow breath. And at the end of the out-breath, you can open your eyes. So I know in my heart that each of you got the perfect right answer. Just like I knew in my heart when there were 400 people in that line that that was my right answer. That I was meant to help transmute a travel experience for a bunch of really weary and probably pissed off people, right? They were all just kind of, and I had the energy to be able to do that. I had just filled up my heart with grandchild love for like 3 days. I had plenty of energy to send and to bring through. And we don't even have to bring through our own energy. We can just call on Source, open up our crown chakra, and bring that energy through our heart. And it doesn't deplete us. Because you are the vessel. And you are the vessel. And you are the vessel. And you are the vessel. We are all called to be that Christed individual. And at first it's kind of difficult to know like what's an intuition and what's not. But we have been given a perfect gift to help us with this. Our bodies. Your brain will tell you, oh my gosh, freak out, the sky is falling. But your body, it'll let you know, oh, this feels expansive. Ooh, I feel a contraction. Oh, that person over there, they look like they might be scary, but I'm not feeling a scary vibe off of them. That person over there, they're well dressed, but maybe I'm getting an icky feeling in my tummy. Maybe I need to go on this other sidewalk. When you're neutral, instead of afraid, you are much more powerful to stay safe. Because you can listen to the guidance and know where is best for you to travel and where is best for you to not. But not if you're scrolling through your phone on your way to your car, right? So I'll conclude with something that Catherine said the retreat before this, she said that Spirit keeps giving her the intuition to have single focus. I always listen to Catherine. She's very wise. So I'm going to invite you, just for today, or just for this week, to do a little experiment with yourself. What would happen if you could stay as neutral as possible and have single focus? What are you in your divineness going to bring through for the rest of the world? And I wish you a lot of fun on your adventure. And I just am glad that I was here to be able to help raise the vibe with all of you great and wonderful, wonderful beings. Thank you so much.